教えてください 808 Maskman. Hi, here for another talk with 808 Maskman. So, today's topic is about overcoming fear when you speak English. Let me ask you, how do you feel when you speak English? I mean, there comes a point when you study, like, where speaking English is not scary anymore. It's no problem. You're not afraid to speak. You don't worry about your English. So when you hit this certain level here, you don't feel afraid speaking English. But I think when you first start, and then until you hit that point, many learners of English, or especially in Japan, feel afraid or feel pressure or feel uncomfortable speaking English. Why is this? That's a good question. But basically, I think it's because of one thing. And what that is you are self-conscious, you worry about your English, making mistakes, using the correct grammar, will they understand you? You worry, will they understand you? You worry about your pronunciation or whatever. Basically, it's because you focus on yourself, not communication, not with, you don't focus on the other person, which for communication is very important to focus on the other person, not on you. But when you worry about yourself, that's when you feel pressure, you feel uncertain, you feel like people are judging you, you feel uncomfortable. But anyway, what you gotta do is you realize that when you're trying to help someone, or when you're trying to communicate with someone, that person is generally not judging your English, and they don't care whether you are high level, whether you speak perfect English, whether you use the correct grammar. They don't care if you make mistakes. They don't care if you use the wrong expression or whatever. But what is important? They need the information that is necessary. They need the information they're asking for to complete the communication. So don't worry about yourself. You should worry about the other person, trying to convey your message to the other person. So, for example, I had this one student. He was he studied English very hard, and his TOEIC score is quite high. I would say about 800, 900 TOEIC. And he knows a lot of English. He knows the grammar rules. He knows a lot of vocabulary. He uses English at his job every day. He had good English, basically. He had a good command of English. But when he spoke, he would take so long to explain the simplest things. Like one day I asked him, what's a jinriksha? And a jinriksha is, it's pretty simple. It's a simple vehicle, right? It's nothing. It's not like nuclear science. Basically, a jinriksha is very simple. It's a vehicle that is pulled by a man, and well, that's it, right? It's similar to a horse cart, but it's pulled by a man. But anyway, like for example, if I asked him to explain what's a jinriksha, he would give me this long explanation, and at the end, it wasn't clear. Like he would say that all kinds of stuff, use big words, use difficult grammar, but in the end, I mean, if I was just listening to him for the first time, I wouldn't understand what he was trying to say. So I think he was very conscious about himself, not making mistakes, trying to use high level grammar, trying to use difficult words, whatever. But in the end, it ended up being something that was not understandable. It was completely, I couldn't comprehend what he was saying. So I was working with him for like a long time, no, not a long time, but for a period of time, and then it wouldn't get better. And I thought of ways to try to help him, to try to help him improve, to get over that hump, to go to the next level. And I was, doing research, trying to find something to help him, And then I came across this one TED Talk by Mariana Pascal. So you can find it on YouTube. Speak English like you're playing a video game. But anyway, it's by Mariana Pascal, TED Talk. You can find it on TED or on YouTube or whatever. But anyway, it's a very interesting talk. To put her long story short, is basically she realized that when people who are not necessarily students of English, studying English, but when they play a game with English speakers or with other people from other countries, basically, usually they communicate in English, and these guys do not hesitate to speak English, and they speak English, maybe they didn't study English very hard, but they have a functional command of English. They can use English to communicate when they play this game, like go, 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 and hurry up, or something, But it's functional communication. It's true communication. They work as a team. They communicate in English, and they get the job done. They get the mission, So that is important, to have great communication and not worry about your own English. She also gave one more example about she went to a pharmacy to get help with some medicine, and there were two girls in the shop, and then one was a very highly educated English speaker, and the other was just a basic English speaker. But when she asked these girls for help, the educated English speaker would give a very long explanation with difficult words and, maybe perfect grammar or whatever, but Mariana Pascal could not understand the main point of her talk. When she went to the other girl who had just basic level English, on the other hand, it's very easy to understand. The message was simple, the message was clear, and Mariana Pascal got the information she needed. And so that is a perfect example. I mean, it's after watching the video, I said, that's it, So I told my student, what you gotta do is not focus on yourself. You gotta focus on the other person. You gotta focus on the task of communicating and getting the message through, helping the person get the information that they need. After, working together and trying to get him to focus more on the other person, he improved dramatically, I think. He got better. I mean, just by changing the mindset of communication. And that was pretty amazing, I think. One more good example of this is, for example, at my dojo. At my dojo, there's lots of different kind of people, it's a really mixed bunch. There's some, truck drivers and some salarymen, office workers, and teachers, and guys that do all kinds of jobs. And then we get together at the same place, But what amazes me is when sometimes foreigners who just visit the dojo for one day to train, and they don't speak Japanese, and most of these guys are from English speaking countries, but when they come, and then what amazes me is that most of the guys at my dojo, even though they don't really study English, when the visitors come, they are not afraid to speak English. And it may not be the highest level English, but they are communicating in English, and it's pretty amazing, actually, because what it is, they're not afraid to speak. They focus on communicating and giving their message. So yeah, it's another example of what I was talking about, not being afraid to communicate. So to end, just don't forget that English is just a tool. I mean, it's just a tool to help you communicate. So when you communicate, make sure you focus on the other person. and not yourself. And I'm sure you will feel much better and not so nervous, and you won't be afraid to communicate, I think, if you just concentrate on doing good communication. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this video, please like, or if you didn't like it, please dislike. And if you want to see more, or you have any questions, comments, please comment down below. And then thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again. If you like this, please subscribe, and see you again soon. Thank you.